From the wrecks of Truck Lagoon and the giant kelp beds of California. From the crystal waters of the Caribbean to the prehistoric manta rays of the Sea of Cortez. Underwater wonders of the world, just minutes from home, to locations that span the globe. These and other exotic wonders beckon the diver to experience the freedom of flight through the blue-green waters of inner space. Almost anyone who has ever donned a face mask and a snorkel has dreamed of sparkling seas and distant shores that wait to be explored. But while marvels unimagined beckon from across the globe, some of the most seductive pleasures of the underwater world lie just a quick jet hop away, amid the sun-splashed isles, strewn like pearls from the Bahamas, off the southern tip of Florida, and down through the Caribbean to the coast of South America. Meccas for tourists, many of the islands lure shoppers with free port prices, while tempting the fun seeker with casinos and nightlife. But for those who'd like some real excitement, scuba classes offered on all the larger islands can, within a day, prepare almost anyone for a close-up encounter with island life at its best. Off the Cayman Islands, a mere hour or two away from the everyday pressures of life, the diver descends into a realm of breathtaking beauty, the world of the wall. Here, corals and sponges in prolific array surrender their exotic colors to the play of a handheld light, revealing hues and forms to startle the advanced as well as the beginning diver. Plunging from near the surface to hundreds of feet, the Cayman Wall is a vibrant wonderland of life. But there are dozens of other spectacular diving sites equally close at hand in the Caribbean and Bahamas. Off Shark Reef in the Bahamas, divers carry sharp-tipped billies to keep inquisitive sharks at bay. Seasoned guides have led over 5,000 dives to the site without a single accident. Imagine the stories a diver would have to tell after experiencing the thrill of an arm's-length encounter with the most dreaded, yet most maligned of all denizens of the sea. The sharks are interested in one thing only, the bait that the divers are feeding them from the spears. Among the many rewards of diving, none is more enthralling than to reach out and bridge the gulf that separates ourselves from the wild creatures of the sea. Here in the Bahamas, a spotted dolphin shares an interlude of simple play that will linger for a lifetime in the diver's memory. If the tropics seem too far away, the Great Lakes, which lie between the United States and Canada, offer exciting rewards for any landlocked diver who can slip away for a weekend expedition to the shores of North America's scenic Inland Sea. Over the years, during fierce winter storms, the clear blue waters of Lake Superior, the world's biggest freshwater lake, have claimed more than 500 ships. And today, over 24 of these wrecks rest on the jagged reefs that ring rugged Isle Royale. As a result, during the summer and early fall months, the island is a magnet for divers with a taste for history and high adventure. Comfortable, dry suits keep the divers warm in the cool waters below. And while many of the wrecks rest within easy reach of the surface, lights are needed to guide the way into the silent, shadowy world within the sunken hulls. Wreck diving, like underwater photography, requires special training, and courses are available through professional dive stores. Well preserved in its freshwater grave, the passenger steamer America sleeps where it sunk a half-century ago, a time capsule of an earlier day. Deeper in the lake lies the steamship Emperor, wrecked on the reef in 1947. And with sensible precautions, it too may be safely explored, summoning echoes of other days and memories of times gone by. To explore a wreck is to relive the past, to venture where few have gone before, into an eerie realm of solitude, where time itself stands still. Romance, excitement, mystery. Wreck diving offers it all. And today, with strobe-equipped underwater cameras, which need no special housings, any diver can bring home an enduring record of a veritable treasure trove of maritime lore and history. For history spiced with the exotic, the Red Sea offers the ultimate in dive destinations. The holy city of Jerusalem, cradle of three of the world's great religions. In the arid Egyptian Sinai, the traveler steps back in time, following the Bedouin to the tip of the barren peninsula. Here, where the sun-scorched desert meets the azure waters of the Red Sea, is one of the great diving locations of the world. In the warm, clear waters of the desert sea, corals abound, sheltering in their bowers like living jewels, a menagerie of glittering tropical fish. In the coral forest, the diver is witness to a symphony of fantastic forms and colors, unsuspected by those whose lives are spent on land. And almost any novice with the aid of a framer and a macro lens can capture stunning portraits of miniature sea creatures, like this beguiling nudibranch. Off the tip of the Sinai, the coral reef plunges from the surface straight down for hundreds of feet, allowing the divers without need of a boat to soar like birds above great canyons and grottos. A passing school of barracuda betrays no hint of their unfriendly reputation, which most divers agree is largely undeserved. But marine life is not the sole attraction of the Red Sea. On the shallow bottom, remnants of wrecks dating back to the days of antiquity may still be found by sharp-eyed divers. Here, an amphora from a Turkish merchantman, lost half a millennium ago, lays alongside the anchor of the ship, still buried in the sand. In exploring sites like this, divers have made many important archaeological discoveries, enhancing their own enjoyment while shedding new light upon the colorful history of this ancient and endlessly fascinating crossroads of human cultures. A world away from the birthplace of religions is the birthplace of freewheeling fads and fashions. But fads are not California's only asset. For off the southern coast lies a string of unspoiled islands, their sheltered coves ringed with groves of giant kelp. Soaring to heights of over 100 feet, the forest of giant kelp teems with life, and the ideal way to explore this realm is with an underwater vehicle. For beach diving, California is also unexcelled, and kayaks offer an easy way out to the kelp. With tank and wetsuit tops stowed aboard, all that's required is to anchor on the site, suit up, and go diving. The payoff? A chance to rub noses with a bright Garibaldi, or to cavort with a California sea lion. The most popular way to dive the Channel Islands is on a chartered dive boat, and California boasts more of these boats than anywhere else in the world. For many divers, catching game is an exciting bonus. And the lobster season gives divers on charter trips plenty of cause for excitement. While a find of this kind is rare, on a really good day, a diver can bag his limit of lobster in an hour, leaving the rest of the day free for trying his hand at the equally rewarding sport of spearfishing. The fish feast at the end of the day joins friends old and new in the bond of camaraderie, which is one of diving's most satisfying rewards. And whether you partake of fresh lobster and fish on a trip home from the Channel Islands, or eat your fill of abalone cooked on a deserted stretch of California beach, it all adds up to a great way to end a day of diving. And who knows, one day as you take that magic carpet ride through the kelp, perhaps you too may be lucky enough to experience that once-in-a-lifetime encounter with a 40-foot California gray whale. Across the continent, Florida serves up plenty of fun, sun, and spectacle. But it also offers the fabulous Florida Keys, focal point of the most exciting variety of diving adventures to be found in the United States. With more dive facilities per square mile than anywhere else in the world, divers can be sure to find anything here that they'll need. Many divers head straight for John Pennekamp Coral Reef State Park, 100 square miles of coral reef in America's own backyard. Protected by state law and the famous statue of Christ of the Abyss, the park provides many divers with their first enticing taste of the marine life of the tropics. Further north, off Dania Beach, Florida divers by the hundreds gather with their families for the annual treasure hunt, an event which pits divers against each other in a race to recover discs dropped offshore from a boat. For divers and their friends, it's a rousing social event, and there's always a chance of walking away with a prize. Near Gainesville, Florida, clear freshwater springs, tinted amber by tannin from the overhanging trees, provide a picturesque setting for another form of treasure diving. In Northern California, dredges like this are used to recover gold. But here, the treasure is the jawbone of a mastodon, an Ice Age relic over 10,000 years old. Diving for discs or ancient fossils offer exciting rewards, but everyone can appreciate one of Florida's true treasures, its tropical fish, which are carried by the warm Gulf Stream close to shore at West Palm Beach. But while an abundance of life has made Florida a diving paradise, the tragedy of war has done the same for Truk Lagoon. The Truk Islands in the Western Pacific. During February 1944, Allied planes sunk over 60 ships of the Japanese fleet, leaving their shattered remains strewn across 40 miles of the tropical lagoon. Today, 40 years later, Truk is at peace with the world, and the outsiders who invade the island come not with guns, but with scuba gear for a first-hand taste of wreck diving at its all-time best. Today, more and more divers record their adventures with underwater video cameras. Though nothing can replace a comely companion, video may one day be a must for anyone who dives. Local guides know the lagoon's best sights, and with their help, exploring the wrecks is easy and safe. It is impossible to approach Truk's slumbering giants without a sense of awe, for an aura of wonder clings to the wrecks, at one moment bewitching the diver with incredible beauty, and at the next, summoning stark reminders of the savagery of war. Now, their hulls overgrown with soft corals, the wrecks are no longer merely sentinels of death, but places of pulsing life, great reefs of steel whose mantles of coral mute the memories of battle. In the hold of a torpedoed freighter, an intact Japanese Zero, a piece of war material that was never to reach its destination. Preserved much as it was on that day 40 years ago when the Allies attacked, the warplane takes visitors on an imaginary flight to a time that is, fortunately, past. Taping their discoveries with the video camera, the divers uncover a stockpile of bombs and ammunition for the fighter plane. But in accordance with the laws of the islands, nothing is taken from this underwater war museum. In a corner of the hold, spare parts for the plane collect a shroud of silt, while clothing stores for the colonial troops and fragile china dishes still remain untouched by the bombs of war. Resisting the urge to pick up mementos, the divers return with a more satisfying souvenir, a videotape of the day's dive, which they can watch that same evening back in their room in the island's resort hotel, a convenient way to relive one of their most memorable underwater adventures, and a record to share many times over with friends and dive club members back home. that the wonders of the diving world could be complete without including the amazing land down under. Australia, the island continent, with its renowned Great Barrier Reef, is a diver's dream, with something for everyone. From sand and sun to unique seaplanes that lend divers a lift from the beach to sensational diving locations on the reef. From Hayman Island off the Queensland coast, the sturdy four-seater whisks divers in minutes from the cares of civilization to one of nature's living wonders. 1,200 miles long, it's the world's largest coral reef. A real superlative in a continent that does nothing halfway. From tree-sized sea fans to spectacular soft corals, from sea snakes to colorful nudibranchs, from gaudy reef fish to exciting wrecks, Australia lays out a feast of delights for the visiting diver. While diving locations range from the freshwater springs in South Australia to the far reaches of the Coral Sea, many of the continent's stellar underwater attractions may be found along the Great Barrier Reef. Anchoring right on the reef, the plane delivers its passengers for a great day of diving. At the end of the day, they'll be flown back to land. Or, if they wish, they can stay on the reef for up to a week, comfortably lodged at a fully equipped floating dive resort. One of the features of the reef's inhabitants that a diver is sure to notice is the warm reception extended to tourists. The fish posing for the video camera are giant potato cod, or groupers if you wish. But by any name, the fish are freeloaders, with a knack for soliciting handouts. But then, what sensible diver would want to risk making a 300-pound grouper feel rejected? Fortunately, gluttony does have limits. Here on the reef, even the moray eel sheds its retiring ways and cozies up to company, a sign that it too has heard that it's chow time. For obvious reasons, feeding a moray by hand is not to be recommended, for the eels are notoriously nearsighted, and they can find it hard to distinguish between food and a diver's glove. For the price of a meal, the moray is captured on tape. And though it lingers to wolf down the scraps, it will be fondly remembered by the divers as one of the many engaging inhabitants of the watery world down under. Closer to home is the Sea of Cortez, a diver's paradise more commonly known as the Gulf of California. Here at the southern tip of the Baja Peninsula, where the Pacific meets the Gulf, is one of the world's most sensational diving locations, a favorite destination for underwater photographic clubs. A dive boat chartered by one of the clubs is anchored on the El Bajo Seamount, an underwater mountain whose marine life is as varied and bountiful as any to be found on land. Here, on the face of the seamount, corals display their true colors, adorning the walls like flowers in a garden. while butterfly fish, like exotic birds, flit through a world of shadows and shimmering light. Words alone cannot describe this realm of marvels and mirages, or the unforgettable thrill of entering, for a time, the special world of one of nature's most majestic wild creatures, the manta ray. With a wingspan that may exceed 20 feet and a weight of more than a ton, the manta accepts as a passenger a traveler from another realm as it wings its way through the boundless corridors of the sea. The diver's world is full of wonders, and around the next reef in hundreds of locations spanning the globe, new worlds of undersea adventure wait to be discovered.